Bosnian and Iraq War veteran Brian Turner is an award-winning poet and author. His memoir, My Life as a Foreign Country, leads readers through his personal experience of war and his imaginary memories of others in battle. Brian Turner, welcome to Evening Edition.
Thanks for having me here.
Now, this memoir of yours, it's not linear of your experience as an Army infantryman in Bosnia and Iraq. Why did you include your grandfather and your father and your uncle's experience here?
I think in part, one of the questions that led me into the writing of the book was a very simple one, which is I've been often asked, why did I join the military? And part of that reason led me to think about the layered history and inheritance that I have in my own family that actually stretches back to the American Civil War. So there was no way to talk about me being in Iraq without also thinking about World War I and gas attacks that took place, World War II with my grandfather on the beaches of Guam as a Marine, who went through San Diego, in fact, and then was overseas in Bougainville and Guam and Iwo Jima, and so on and so on.
Now, you got your MFA from the University of Oregon before joining the Army, and you were older when you joined the Army. So in talking about why you actually joined, as you just mentioned, can you narrow down on that? Why you decided at age 30
Sure.
something?
I hate to be frustrating because it's, you know, like many big decisions in our lives, there's a field of reasons that combine to make the answer. So the book doesn't even fully answer the question. But part of it was that I almost joined the Marine Corps twice when I was 19, but then I ended up growing my hair long, joining a band and playing in a band for a while. And then when I was 31-ish, right around there, I realized that the cutoff was 32 and I would never be able to join after that. And I remember thinking, I'm going to miss it, so I need to, so I joined.
Now, you've written two poetry books about your war experience, but in this memoir, you actually chronicle your life from childhood, from recruitment, from going to these wars in 136 chapters. One of those chapters is only one sentence long. How did your military experience influence the way you wrote, the way you write now?
I think part of the sergeant's job, or the infantryman's job, is, and we said this to each other, I was told this, and I told my own soldiers this, is to pay attention to detail. Because if you don't know the way of life or what's happening, you don't know that on a Thursday afternoons there should be children on the street, or there shouldn't be trash out right now, or et cetera, et cetera. You have to know the rhythm of life. In order to know the rhythm of life, you have to pay attention to detail. And the writer's job is exactly the same, in a sense, is to pay attention to detail. The details are what make the story.
Now, you also included some imaginary scenarios from the perspective of the enemy. Why did you want to include the perspective of the enemy in your memoir?
To be honest, I feel like there should be much more of it, but it's so hard for me to even imagine or try to access in many ways. Having been an occupier, there's issues of appropriation of their experience, the inability to really fully inhabit and step in their shoes. But I think it's part of the human process is to try to understand those who are around us. And especially in a place where someone, for example, might be trying to kill me, I really was fascinated with like what leads them to that point. Like what makes them get to that point where they would put their own lives on the line to kill an American soldier? And so how could I not write about them? They are placeholders, though, for now, and I am a placeholder. I think in the years to come, 15, 20 years down the road, Iraqi children, for example, will grow up, write poems and stories, and if we're lucky, I might, in translation, read a book that will teach me more about the war that I was in than I even know now.
Do you think writing, as you mentioned, for both American soldiers and other soldiers, do you think it would be therapeutic for veterans?
I think it can be. I've written 7 books that are unpublished before my first published books. I've written a lot of manuscripts. I had one of those where immediately it felt like I got a lot off my chest. So I know in theory and in practice, I've experienced it myself that it does happen, but rarely is it sort of an immediate kind of sensation. I think the practice of writing, the meditative act of considering your life and sort of trying to process the experiences of our lives and those around us can be healthy and can be useful for us. But writing is not only, I think for veterans, the idea sometimes is to circle back to the wartime trauma or experiences and try to process them. But I think the writing tools will also help them find their way into the rest of their life. So it'll be healthy that way too.
It could be. Do you have another project you're working on?
Oh, too many to name. How much time do we have?
Okay.
One
Another
involves
book?
a flugelhorn, and I'm recording in Orlando, doing a music project that will be unveiled later at a later date.
All right. Well, author Brian Turner, thank you so much. And I want to let folks know that they can hear you, Brian Turner, read from his newest book tonight at 7 p.m. at the Grossmont Library Arts Festival. For more information, go to kpbs.org.